Hi, I'm Colin Walls, and I'm here again to talk about embedded software. Well, actually, today, just for a change, I'm not going to talk about a technical subject. I'm going to discuss my career in embedded software. I often talk to young engineers who are just starting out in the world of work, and they often say, well, how do you get into embedded software? And I don't necessarily have a simple answer. The best I can do is give an idea about how I got here. I think they're attracted by the idea of a highly paid job and a glamorous lifestyle, which makes me wonder why they're talking to me. But still, there we go. So how did I start? Way back, I was at university and I was doing a science degree. Science always interested me, that seemed logical. I had no idea what kind of job I was going to get at the end of it. And while I was at university, computers became my hobby. I became interested in them, hadn't encountered them before I got to uni, and therefore they were fun to play with. Initially it was mainframe computers, and then I moved on to mini computers. What they called mini in those days, they filled a small room rather than a large room. But the big difference between those computers and the mainframes is instead of sharing it with dozens or hundreds of other users, I could have a mini computer all to myself. In fact, my lifestyle in those days was very much a matter of spending the whole day doing lectures and labs and stuff. I'd spend the evening with my girlfriend, and then late in the evening I would head off to the computer centre, use the computers there for a few hours, snatch a few hours sleep later on, and then do it all again the following day. I could do that when I was 20. Anyway, what I came away with was some skills using computers like PDP-11s, which were popular in those days, and an even smaller computer called PDP-8. These computers you turn them on and they had nothing in their memory, and you could program them from then onwards. If you had a PDP-8, you could program the line of switches on the front, and you just key in the binary codes for the instructions and off you go. I have a sort of sneaky feeling that real computers are supposed to have a line of switches and lights on the front, you know. Still, I came to time to graduate and I decided to pursue my hobby as a career. And I soon found I had a choice of jobs in the world of computer software, and I ended up working in a place where we did real-time control systems using mini computers. I very quickly transitioned into programming microprocessors and what we now call embedded systems. In those days, the term had not been coined. We didn't know what to call them. They were just electronic systems with microprocessors in them. In fact, I wrote a book 30 years ago now. 30 years ago I wrote a book called Programming Dedicated Microprocessors, because the word embedded hadn't been invented. Anyway, I found my way into embedded because I had some background in electronics as a hobby. Before going to university, I played with electronics. So I could understand what the hardware guys were talking about a lot of the time. And gradually I became the embedded specialist in the place I worked. I moved to another job, did more embedded work there, and then eventually I ended up where I am now, working for Mentor. That was a long time ago. Things have gone round a complete circle in a way, because one of the attractions of embedded programming to me early on was that I could take a computer with nothing inside it and make it work. Prior to that, I'd only been able to take a computer with an operating system and run the software on top of that. Whereas of course nowadays most embedded systems have operating systems, maybe a real-time operating system like our Nucleus product, but an operating system nevertheless. I still have a fondness for the idea of starting from scratch, and therefore an RTOS is a fairly good starting point because it's relatively simple. I can figure out what's going on and produce an application that works. So that's how I got to embedded. How you get there is another matter. And there are many changes in the careers of embedded software engineers nowadays, but I'm always happy to receive queries from anybody who wants some guidance in that area. So that's a quick picture of my career to date. Who knows what I'll do next? But one thing I will do is I'll be doing some more videos like this in the future covering other aspects of embedded software. Do let me know if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover. And with that, I'll say bye for now. See you next time.